Originally, this whole dynamic happened because Adrian was harassing the channel to try to do channeling. You see, when they first met, it was around the dynamic of they were both going to a class, a channeling class, where this woman that they stumbled upon was a professional channel. She had a radio show, and she was pretty well known around this particular area. And she was doing classes every other week, we believe, as far as that dynamic goes. And he joined the group of people. And so, because what they were interested in, each of them as individuals, was not, neither one of them was looking for love, but what they were looking for was a dynamic of an understanding of working with someone on these in the spiritual sort of way, in this sort of channeling sort of venue dynamic. And originally it was Adrian that was actually doing the bringing of the information through and bringing the energy through, and she was bringing through an energy called Dream, AU Dream, or Golden Dream, who was basically is her higher self. And so she and the channel, because they had a somewhat volatile relationship, and because it was very early in their relationship, and neither one of them were perfect specimens, they needed to have kind of a referee in the way in the dynamics of establishing the dynamics of their relationship. And so Adrian began to channel, and they began to work on their relationship with the dynamics of this other energy. And after a relatively short period of time, the other energy got this one to try to channel. And all of a sudden, well, the rumor is because he did so much LSD back in the 70s that he had an open channel in that sort of way. But in fact, he found it very easy to do and so he began to channel, they began to channel back and forth. And it was a way to work through the dynamic of the relationships because if they began to get too contentious, we would come up, or Ezekiel would come up, or Audrey would come up to, what shall we say, mitigate the energy. And so it really was like kind of living with a counselor, with a therapist in that sort of way, but one that had what shall we say, a completely non-biased viewpoint of things. And so sometimes they would take Adrian's viewpoint, sometimes they would take the channel's viewpoint, but it would always be a dynamic that was equitable, and they would be, each step it became more and more. And eventually, the idea was had that, then the first energy that came through on a consistent basis was an energy called Ezekiel, who is also an aspect of us, a lesser aspect in us. And they basically came through and worked with the channel and Adrian and many others for approximately 8 years and taught you all about the dynamics of the way you personally create your realities. And then after 8 years, they had pretty much tapped out on the dynamics of new information because there's only so far you can go in that direction before you start making people crazy just from the dynamics of that deep examination of the energy. And so we came through to present a more dynamic of a consensus of the biggest picture of the dynamic so that you might be able to, because understand that the biggest picture of the dynamics operates exactly the same, identically with your personal creation. In other words, you are uh, quantum experience of the divine. You have all of the abilities, all of the creation abilities of God got us all that is. And whatever that means to you, just the words God got us all that is a limitation. All right, so understand that as you begin to realize that, as you begin to become more expansive, as you begin to develop that personal relationship with all that is, all of a sudden, all the fears go away. All of the dynamics of reality that have scared you, you realize, no, this is all part of a continuation. This is all a part of who I really am.